All right, everyone, this is the state expedited accusations calendar. This calendar is for those individuals who've been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused and bound over to state court. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney today. All participants, this is being broadcast over the internet as a live stream. It is also being recorded. That means any member of the public can watch this. I do not yet have my calendar before me, so I would appreciate if the state would put the case number onto the record just so that we can get started. Who do we have first? That courtroom 3, I believe.
Judge, I'm sorry, I don't have a position, but I have Ms. Russell right here.
Rucker,
I'm sorry, Rucker.
Are you all able to hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Ms. Bridgewater, I can't hear you. That's not good.
I'm sorry, Judge. It will help if I will unmute myself.
I cannot hear.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? No? Oh, wow.
I'm at the South Annex today and I cannot hear anyone.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear us now?
Ma'am, you don't have to say anything else. Thank you.
Hi, Judge Williams. Are you using the laptop or the desktop down in South Annex? She can't hear me.
I'm gonna have to fool with the audio settings. Everyone give me one moment. I cannot hear anything.
Thank you.
All right, okay, I think someone say something.
Position number 17.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Ms. Bridgewater, what is my reset date?
It's going to be January the 24th.
All right, those who receive a surety or cash bond are going to SAP on the 24th. Those who receive signature bond, further notice. All right, position 17, I don't have a calendar yet. What is the name of the, let me, give me a moment.
Last name Rucker. Terrell is the first name.
All right, Mr. Rucker, do you understand your rights today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Oh, it's you. Okay, hold on.
I'm sorry.
That's you. Okay, I apologize. Like I said, I do not have a calendar before me. Let me try. All right, in this case, you're charged with battery family violence. The case number is 23 CR 0000120D. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, whose case is this for the state?
It's my case, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Howard, can I have the history, please?
55 total. Last arrest was back in September for shoplifting. Most of the history is drugs. The last violent arrest I saw was well beyond 10 years ago.
All right, Ms. Todd, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officers arrived on the 7th at 1293 Marcy Street following a dispute call. Upon arrival, officers spoke with Glenn Gramling, that's G-L-E-N. Gramling is G-R-A-M-L-I-N-G, who stated that he and the defendant had gotten into a verbal altercation when the defendant started pulling the cable box out of the wall and throwing different items around the house. During this tantrum, the defendant began shoving and grabbing at Mr. Gramling, leaving him with marks across his chest. As pretrial stated, she does have 55 cycles, Your Honor. 27 of those cycles are probation violations. There is the one aggravated assault conviction. However, that is a little removed. And she does have what appears to be an open theft by shoplifting case. As far as we are aware, the defendant and Mr. Gramling are in a relationship, and therefore there is a unique position to exercise influence over the victim in this case. The state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond, a no further contact with Mr. Gramling, a stay away from 1293 Marcy Street, 1 day of anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, and who represents this defendant, Ms. Kim?
Yes,
Ms.
well,
Kim,
Miss Rocker, she is 51 years old and she has been here in Georgia for almost all her life. At this point, she's qualified for public defender's service since her husband, who is Mr. Glenn Gramling, they are not employed. My client is actually employed, but only for part-time, and she has been employed for the last 3 months, and the income is not enough to be qualified for private attorney. So our office will be continuously representing her. Your Honor, according to my client, they are husband and wife. So that house is actually a marital property. However, my client has no objection to stay away or no further contact. And we would like to request for a signature on bond for this particular case. She does not have any other violence case, which is extremely remote from now. And we would like to request for signature on bond.
all right, is Mr. Gramling present on this Zoom conference and wishes to be heard? All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond. She's to have no contact with the alleged victim and stay away from the location on Marcy Street. She can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items, and she's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
Position number 3.
Is that cash or check?
Well, I think they wanted a breakout session, I'm sorry. So, we can do this case last if you like, fancy, man.
All right, let's do will there be more than one breakout today?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm only requesting a breakout for that position number 3.
Okay, we'll do that one last. All
Okay,
right,
thank you.
who do we have next?
Your Honor, we're going to courtroom 2. Good afternoon. We got position number 8, Mr. Jane, and he also has his father here in the galley.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Jane. Your case is 23CR 00011H. I'm sorry, 118H. Thank you so much. Thank you. In which you're charged with driving, improper erratic lane change, reckless driving, DUI, less safe, and DUI with a concentration of over 0.08 with the offense date of January the 6th. Do you understand your right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
Second arrest, 2017 misdemeanor possession of marijuana, dismissed.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm trying to toggle back and forth. Whose case is this from the state?
This is my case, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Duncan, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident did occur on January 6, 2023. The accused in this case was driving a motor vehicle when officers approached this defendant while driving the vehicle on Georgia 400 South. Because he failed to maintain lanes several times. He actually struck another vehicle while failing to maintain lane and caused that vehicle to spin out and strike a median on Georgia 400. Officers notated that the defendant's eyes were red and watery, that his speech was at times slurred, and that the officers detected an odor of alcoholic beverage on this defendant's breath. Officers said that the accused admitted to consuming alcohol prior to driving. It's indicated that the standardized field sobriety indicated impairment and were positive. He was failing to maintain lane, and that's the basis for all of the charges. The defendant did have a positive blood alcohol level. I'm not sure.
We would
I'm
have
not
to
sure.
object to the reading of that number on the record. The state cannot lay a foundation at this time.
if Ms. Gant would allow me to finish my sentence, I was not going to read the number. I was going to state at this time, we're currently continuing to investigate, and I don't know where that number came from, but just that it was positive for a blood alcohol level that would indicate impairment. Given that, Your Honor, there were no bonds set. This defendant was being held without bond. So the state is going to be requesting a $500 surety on the improper or erratic lane change, the $3,000 surety on the reckless driving. Given that the reckless nature of the driving caused this defendant to strike another vehicle and cause that vehicle to spin out and hit the median, and $3,000 on each of the additional DUI charges in this case, for a total of a $9,500 total surety, have no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law, as well as no driving unless validly qualified through DDS. Nothing further from the state.
All right, Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Shoham Jain is 22 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area since 2010. He does have his family here. Mr. Jain completed high school. He states that he is self-employed. He is in the process of opening a ghost kitchen. Mr. Jain is presumed innocent, Your Honor. We are denying the allegations. We did not hear about any prior convictions for DUI. His last contact with law enforcement in the courts is 2017. Therefore, I'm requesting a signature bond on Mr. Jane's behalf. If Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, and I would ask for a total bond of no more than $3,000, and that would be $500 for the driving improper lane change, $500 for reckless, and $1,000 for each of the DUIs. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, defendant will receive a $6,000 surety bond, $1,000 count one, $1,000 count two, $2,000 on each of the remaining DUIs. He is not to drive unless he has a valid license issued by the Georgia DDS, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the defense. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right,
Nothing further from the state.
best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Thank you.
Position 7, this is a private attorney case.
All right.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Beth Driver for Mr. Ivukin.
Okay. Mr. Mvukin, your case is 23 CR 000-134E. You're charged with DUI, less safe, driving improper erratic lane change, and driving, I believe, with an instructional or a temporary license. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Howard?
First arrest.
All right, thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. On the 7th, officers observed a vehicle towing another vehicle using a strap that was connecting the cars. Upon investigation, it appeared that the defendant was operating the vehicle that was being towed. Officers stopped the vehicle, and upon speaking to the defendant, the officers noticed that the defendant was slurring his speech. Defendant even stated that he had had one beer. Defendant consented to and failed roadside field sobriety tests, and he refused a breath test. After arrest, it was discovered that the defendant had left the road, damaged a curb and street sign on Old Alabama in Riverside Rapids. Defendant was operating the vehicle on a limited driving permit due to the fact that he was, I believe, 18 at the time, and he was also operating the vehicle at around 2 a.m. Pretrial did state that this is the defendant's first arrest. However, considering the fact that he was operating a provisional license as well as under the legal drinking age, the state is asking for a $1,000 surety bond on the DUI, a $1,000 surety bond for the improper and erratic lane change, as well as a $1,000 surety bond for the instructional permit, for a total of a $3,000 surety bond. We are also asking that he has no driving unless he has a valid license through DDS. We are also asking for a curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., as well as no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
I'm sorry, the time requested for the curfew was what?
8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jeffrey, please proceed.
Your Honor, my client is 18 years old. He did complete high school at Walton High School. He is employed full-time at Butler Tire. He does reside with his parents in Marietta, where he has lived the majority of his life. All of his family is here, and he has no ties anywhere else. We would ask that the bond be set at $1,000 on the DUI and $500 on each of the 2 underlying offenses, traffic offenses. The issue that we would have with the curfew being where it is that his work does stay open later, and that would interfere with his ability to work. There really is no indication that there should be a curfew other than something, if there were to be a curfew, it should be significantly later than that. I would suggest 11 p.m. or 12.
All right, thank you.
There's nothing egregious and he has no prior history, so there's really nothing that would necessarily say he needs to have a curfew. Certainly, because he remains under 21, there may be restrictions on the time he can drive. And he would have to comply with those, obviously.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant is going to receive $2,000 surety bond, $1,000 on count 1, the DUI, $500 on the remaining charges. He's not to drive unless he has a valid license. And furthermore, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
The only thing that I want to be sure of, Your Honor, is that there was an NOD presented on 3 other charges, and I just want to make sure that that has been submitted to the clerk and it will get over to the jail so that he doesn't remain held on those charges.
They don't appear on my calendar, so I'm assuming so. Ms. Champion or Ms. Bridgewater, do you see any additional charges that might hold him in?
I will have to ask Ms. Champion to look while I conduct it.
Okay. Ms. Champion, will you please take a check? But I believe if the NODs are in, or Ms. Todd, are you aware whether the NODs have been processed? Can you see
Yep,
that?
on my side, they have been processed.
Yes, Judge, it's showing on the booking screen that the NODs are in at the jail.
Wonderful. Thank you both for checking that. Does that conclude your business today?
It does, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you. And may I excuse?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, you may. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Who do we have next?
And Judge, that was a good bond, correct?
Yes, that was a good one.
Okay. Position 9, James.
Okay, Mr. James, you're charged in case 23 CR 000119C with criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, and 2 counts of simple assault with the offense date of August 29th of 2021. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
His first arrest, a resident of Houston, Texas,
Okay.
according to the booking sheet.
All right, thank you, Ms. Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant attempted to enter the location of the Waffle House located at 66 Fifth Street in Atlanta at a time when they were closed to the inside for patrons due to COVID restrictions. When the defendant was asked to leave the inside of the Waffle House, the defendant became disruptive and began yelling and cursing at employees inside of that location. 2 victims in this case are Ellie Bohannon, that's ELLEBOHANNON, and Charlene Maxwell, CHARLENE Maxwell, common spelling. When this defendant began to get loud and disruptive and started cursing and yelling at people inside of the Waffle House, this defendant actually was seen on video surveillance resisting his friends trying to get him to leave the location. He actually picked up a wet floor sign and threw it at the victims in this case, as well as a metal napkin holder that he threw in the direction of these victims, Your Honor. In addition to that, he continued his disruptive behavior by jumping on top of the counter and grabbing the light fixture above the counter, so much so that he pulled that light fixture out of the ceiling and it was hanging by some wires. Eventually, he was able to be taken from the facility by his friends who were there with him. But given the nature of the offenses alleged, we understand that this defendant does have a limited criminal history. However, we will be requesting a split $8,000 total split bond in this case. We're asking for a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial services for the criminal trespass and the disorderly conduct. That's $3,000 each of those, and $1,000 surety for each of these simple assaults. We're asking that this defendant have no further contact with either of the victims in this case, that this defendant stay away from that Waffle House, that he have 1 day of anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Nothing further from the state.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Your Honor, my client is 32 years old. He's never been arrested before this alleged incident. He has 4 years of college and is gainfully employed. He has been working for the past 8 years as a bartender. He has 5 siblings living in the metro Atlanta area and a host of nieces and nephews with whom he has a very close relationship. My client absolutely denied that he was the person who did this, Your Honor. He knows nothing about this incident. And I would point out to the court that in the warrant, even when the police officers went back to the location, the alleged victims did not positively identify my client as being the person in the video. The police officer went to great lengths to try to match up some names. When he contacted one of the gentlemen who apparently were at the scene, he told the police officer a completely different last name than my client's last name. My client denies that he was even there, Your Honor. He has no criminal history. He's not that kind of person. I would ask the court to give my client a signature bond so he can get out of jail and get on with his life until all of this can be resolved, Your Honor, because we feel very strongly that once this goes to trial, the footage and the evidence will show that my client was not that person at all. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant's gonna receive a $7,000 split bond. It'll be $3,000 on count 1, a signature bond through the jail, $3,000 on count 2, a signature bond through the jail, $500 on count 3, that's a surety bond, and a $500 surety bond on count 4. He needs to stay away from the incident location. Was there an alleged victim? I don't believe so.
There were 2 alleged victims, Your Honor.
Okay, the alleged victims' names again, Ms. Duncan?
The first alleged victim's name is Ellie Bohannon, E-L-L-E, first name, last name, B-O-H-A-N-N-O-N. Second victim is Charlene Maxwell, C-H-A-R-L-E-N-E, Maxwell, common spelling.
All right, and have no contact with those victims. Yes, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, this incident happened, according to what the warrant says, well over a year ago, a year and a half ago. Apparently, my client has not been anywhere near this location. In fact, he denies even knowing anything about this incident. And given the fact that he's never been arrested, he has no criminal history. He's 32 years old, Your Honor. For him to have to come out of pocket to pay for a bond for something that more than likely is going to be found not guilty of because he says it's not him. And the police were not able to positively.
I understand, Ms. McLeod. The 1,000 surety will stand. He's only got to make 1,000. And he have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. The other 2 signature bonds through the jail, so he will not need to be monitored by pre-trial. All right, is there anything further as it pertains to Mr. James's case?
Nothing further from the state. Thank you, Judge.
And I do
further from the defense, Your Honor. This concludes my business before the court. May I be excused?
Yes, Ms. McLeod, I do appreciate your advocacy on behalf of your client. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, who do we have next?
Position 10, Kagler.
Okay, Mr. Kagler, your case 22 CR 0000122J. You're charged with loitering and prowling with the offense date of January the 8th. You understand, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
I don't understand if I was doing anything else.
Mr. Kegler, please
don't
remain
say-
silent.
Don't interfere with your right to remain silent, okay? Mr. Howard, please proceed.
This 8th arrest, 2017 simple assault, obstruction, felony terrorist threats. Before that was 2013 ag assault, felony obstruction, 2 counts, conviction. That was out of DeKalb County. 2012 trespass, misdemeanor obstruction. 2011 probation for battery. Disorderly conduct and battery conviction from 08.
That's good. Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, there's a $5,000 preset surety bond in this case. And the date of incident, as alleged on the record, this defendant was on the property of Todd Miller, located at 978 Faith Avenue Southeast in Atlanta. The defendant was seen on video surveillance climbing over this victim's privacy wall and looking at property on the victim's home and peering through windows without this victim's permission. We do have some concern about the risk of reoffense because it's indicated from the warrant that the defendant in this case was not apprehended at that time. However, about an hour later, another 911 call came in the area, and at that time, the defendant was taken into custody. Given this defendant's history, we do have some concern, like I said, about the risk of reoffense. The state is amenable to reducing that $5,000 surety bond to a $3,500 surety bond in this case, given the nature of the offense alleged. Nothing further from the state.
Thank you, Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Averill Kegler is 37 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He does have some family here, a sister that I was able to reach out to. However, she is unable to assist him with bond. My client is unemployed. He states that he has been disabled for about 8 years. He earned, completed 8th grade. And again, he's not working because of a disability. He denies the allegations. He certainly is presumed innocent. I'm requesting a signature bond on Mr. Kegler's behalf. According to the report that I received, he's eligible for a signature bond. And lastly, the last arrest that I have is 2017, which is over 5 years, his last contact with law enforcement. And I did not hear the state request a stay away. However, my client has no need to return to that property location.
Defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond. He is to stay away from that location, have no contact with the victim, and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
And my apologies to the court. The state's intention was to put a stay away on the record.
All right. All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Positions 20 and 21, Young.
All right, good afternoon. Are you Andrew Young?
Andrew Young, yes.
Your cases are 23 CR 000-129Y, and you're charged with theft by shoplifting. You're also charged with the same offense in case 23 CR 000-131Y. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
32 total. As far as theft, I got a 2005, 2009, 2021 shoplifting conviction, 2011 theft by receiving conviction. He has an open case in Superior Court, financial transaction card theft. It's 20 CP 190865.
That's good.
Open status.
I think I've got it. Thank you. All right, whose case is this for the state? My screen didn't scramble.
Donovan Rogers on behalf of the state.
Okay, Mr. Rogers, please proceed.
On November the 25th of 2022, Mr. Young arrived at the location of DD's discount at 590 Cascade Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. He entered the location empty-handed. He left the location with portable Bluetooth speakers. The attendant at the DD's discount did contact police officers. They did recognize Mr. Young from previous shoplifting occurrences, and they also provided police with surveillance footage of the shoplifting event and positively identified Mr. Young.
All right, that's position 20. What about 21? Let's do them both together.
21, similar facts. On November the 26th of 2022, he entered the same DD's discount location at 590 Cascade Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. He entered the location empty-handed. He left the location with multiple portable Bluetooth speakers. The attendant at the DD's discount did contact police. Police arrived. They provided police officers with surveillance footage and positively identified Mr. Young as the person in the video taking of the speakers.
So he was alleged to take speakers on both days?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Young is 35 years old, And indeed, he has been residentially challenged. So I actually will be requesting social worker services to provide housing resources and his financial situation, he is qualified for public defender's service. So even after today's bond hearing, our office will continuously represent him, since even though he has a part-time job to work at AAA apartment staffing as a security groundskeeper, it has been only 1 year and his income is not there yet. He has been he's gonna be staying with his mother. He has 4 minor children, 17, 15, 10, and 9 years old. He also is looking for not only the housing resources, but also rehabilitation resources, because he needs some help. I think that's what he needs more than being in the jail. So we would like to request for a signature on bond, so that way he can be released to go and get some help for his rehabilitation at appropriate programs. And that's about it, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may, the state will request a $2,000 surety bond on position 20 and a $2,500 surety bond on position 21, and a stay away order from the location in question.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,000 surety bond total, $1,500 on each case, and he's to stay away from the location on Cascade Avenue. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Your
All
Honor.
right, best of luck to you, Mr. Young. What do we have next?
Position 14, Matthews.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Matthews. Your case is 23 CR 0001138. You're charged with obstruction and loitering and prowling with the offense date of January the 7th of 2023. You understand your rights?
Yes.
All right. Let's see, Mr. Howard.
His 10th arrest. Last arrest was on December 30th, 2021. Burglary, first degree. 2016 shoplifting, 2015 trespass. Seller counterfeit substance conviction. That was out of Cherokee County from 2015 actually. 2014 theft by taking conviction.
That's good.
2013.
Yeah, that's good. I've got it. Thank you so much. Whose case is this for the state? Is it Mr. Rogers again?
No, Your Honor, it's not.
Whose case is position 14?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. 1 second. I'm trying to get my camera on.
Okay. Please proceed quickly. We have a rather large calendar.
The facts of this case, the officer observed the defendant checking the mailbox at the location of 874 Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard. The officer instructed the defendant to stop and put his hands in the air, but the defendant stood still and ignored multiple commands from the officer. The defendant refused to provide his accurate identification information to the officer, and he provided him with a fake name and date of birth. This defendant has a history of robbery and theft and has several arrests, with all of them relating to robbery and theft. The state will be asking for a $3,000 surety bond, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Matthews, he is 31 years old, and he has been here in Georgia for about 12 years. Even though he was born here and raised here in Georgia, he was kind of like gone away and then came back. So total years has been 12 years. He has his family members here. He drives a truck and for Zero Campus for about last 22 to 3 years. So he's gainfully employed, even though he is currently going through residentially challenged situations. However, he should be able to sort those out very shortly. He graduated from college, Atlanta Metropolitan. Even though he graduated, he never got the degree though. He has a GED and he has a lot of college credits. And Your Honor, we would like to request for signature on bond for this case. Even though there is other cases, open case pending, I think there was not much of violence that he was involved in. That's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, defendant is going to receive a $2,000 surety bond, 500 count one, 1,500 count two. Please stay away from the address on Joseph E. Lowry and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. What do we have next?
Position 1, Bush.
All right, good afternoon. Your case is 23 CR 000114E. In this case, you're charged with 2 counts of committing certain prohibited acts on a rail or bus station. The offense date of January the 6th and the 7th of this year. You understand you're right?
Sure.
All right. Let's see, Mr. Howard.
Got over 50. Last arrest.
Last five,
You said that's fine?
no, I said last 5 years if you
Oh,
can.
okay. Last arrest was in August, shoplifting. May of last year, obstruction, possession of drug-related objects. He's on probation in DeKalb County, entering auto with the intent to commit theft or felony.
Okay, that's good. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. On January the 6th, the defendant was caught entering the northbound trackway of MARTA Civic Center Station. Defendant's actions caused disruption to the rail services. Then again, on January the 7th, the defendant was riding in a MARTA train in car 204 when he pulled the emergency string, causing the train to stop, further disrupting rail services. As pretrial stated, he does have an extensive history, 54 total cycles, including 8 criminal trespass convictions, 12 arrests for criminal trespass, 6 probation violations, and 4 FTAs. And he, as pretrial stated, he is currently on probation for a 2020 felony entering auto. The state is asking for a $1,000 surety for each count for a total of a $2,000 surety bond, as well as a stay away from the Civic Center MARTA station and to comply with any other active MARTA suspensions. We are also asking for no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Brian Bush is 34 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 14 years. He tells me that he did not graduate from high school. He is currently unemployed at this time. He does not have the means to pay anything toward bond, nor does he have any family members who are available to assist. These are allegations. My client is presumed innocent. I'm requesting a signature bond on Mr. Bush's behalf. And if Your Honor determines that he's ineligible, then I would ask for the lowest bond possible, and we are unopposed to any stay away conditions. Thank you.
All right, at this time, defendant's going to receive a $1,000 surety bond, 500 on each count, and he's to comply with all active MARTA suspensions, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further? All right, best of luck to you. What do we have next?
Position 5, Penn.
All right, Ms. Ham, your case is 23 CR 000130D. You're charged with improper backing and DUI less safe with the offense date of January the 7th. You understand you're right?
All right.
You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. You understand those, right?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Howard.
This 5th arrest, 2009 DUI conviction, 2006 DUI conviction. And before that was 89 DUI no law.
Okay,
Everything is,
that's good. All right, Ms. Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, it occurred on January 7, 2023. The defendant was driving a vehicle under the suspected influence of alcohol at he was in the car, he was leaving and he was backing out of a location. He pulled into a parked car, backed out of that spot and actually backed into another parked car at that location. When officers made contact, his speech was, his eyes were red and watery, his speech was slurred and slowed, and officers did detect an odor of alcoholic beverage on this defendant's breath at the time. Officers also indicated that the defendant did admit to drinking alcohol at the time they interacted with this defendant. Given that this defendant has 3 prior DUI convictions, 1 no-low in 89 and 2 convictions in 07 and 2011, as well as what I saw, a reckless driving arrest and accident causing injury or death out of Illinois with no disposition listed, the state is going to be requesting a $10,000 surety on the DUI and a $500 surety on the improper backing, no alcohol, drugs, weapons, no further violations of Georgia law, and no driving unless this defendant is validly licensed through DDS, and that incident location is Crab Orchard Court in Roswell.
All right, thank you, Ms. Camp. Ms. Gant, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. John Heim is 62 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area since 1987. He is a college graduate. He obtained a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of Illinois. However, Mr. Heim has been disabled since 1995. He informs me that he was diagnosed with a neurologic disease that affects his speech, Your Honor. He strongly denies the allegations. He's presumed innocent. I would bring to the court's attention that there were no field sobriety tests in this case. And further, Your Honor, I do acknowledge my client's history. However, his DUI convictions are quite remote. There is no disposition for the reckless driving. I am asking for a signature bond on Mr. Hames' behalf. And if Your Honor determines that he's ineligible, I would ask for a more reasonable bond, a bond of no more than $1,500. And that is $500 for the improper backing and $1,000 for the DUI less safe, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, defendant's gonna receive a $5,000 split bond, 1,000 SOB through the jail for the improper backing, 4,000 surety for the DUI. He's not to drive without a valid license and has no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Anything further?
Could you repeat that one more time, Your Honor?
5,000 split, 1,000 SOB through the jail, count 1, and 4,000 surety for count 2.
Thank you, Judge.
All
Thank
right,
you,
best
Your
of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 18, Mr. Shorter. He also has a visitor in the gallery.
Is it the victim? Oh, no, there is no victim. Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Shorter, your case is 23 CR 0000126J. You're charged with disorderly conduct and obstruction with the offense date of January 8th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Howard?
This is 5th arrest. Last arrest, February 2022, theft by taking, simple battery. Ag assault, strangulation, 2 counts, 1 count, false imprisonment.
Okay, that's
That
good.
case is 22 SC 184438. He also has history out of Mississippi. You want that?
No, we'll go to Ms. Duncan. Thank you. Ms. Duncan, please proceed.
Yes, in addition to what preacher was saying, I saw that he does have 2 open felony pending cases. For this incident, there are 2 separate locations for the disorderly conduct. Officer Lamar was working at Sharpoo job at 848 Peachtree Street Northeast, and was alerted by the other security that the defendant in this case was arguing with management about not paying this tab. Officers approached the defendant in this case and they walked outside to investigate what had happened. After gathering some facts in this incident, it was discovered that the defendant's credit card transaction had declined and that he didn't have enough cash to satisfy his bill. While outside, officers indicated that he became irate and began making threats, calling the officers bitch ass niggas and other things, stating that he would fight them. There was no indication of how he was going to pay the bill. And after making such threatening comments towards the officers, they had tried to give him a chance to calm down and just sign the citation. However, he chose not to do so and continued to behave in a loud and boisterous manner. At that point, he was taken into custody. For the willful obstruction on the same date, Officer Chandler was dispatched and was met with the other officers as well. And in this same incident, he continued to resist officers by tightening his body, not bending his body to get into the back of the police car, forcing his hands in front of him. He was just doing everything possible at that time to evade arrest when officers were just trying to investigate what was happening and give him a copy of the citation and released him. But because of his behavior, again, he was charged with obstruction and disorderly conduct for the actions he took against both these officers as listed on the record. Given that, Your Honor, this defendant's bond is not set, so the state is going to be requesting a total $2,000 surety in this case. This defendant we do have some concern about the risk of offense, as the defendant has 2 open felony cases that are violent in nature. We'd ask that the defendant stay away from the incident location as stated on the record, have 1 week of anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law. The basis for the anger management is that this case is somewhat violent in nature, and the 2 open cases are violent aggravated offenses. So nothing further from the state.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Shorter is 32 years old and he has been here in Georgia for about 5 years. He's from Tennessee. His brother and sister are here in Georgia. And also he's a proud father of 3-year-old baby. And Your Honor, we would like to request for a signature on bond because this was not involved in the violence from the very beginning. It was simply the bill issue. And then just because he wanted to know what was going on, I guess questioning what was going on, trying to understand, caused a lot of misunderstanding, and he was perceived as being obstructive to the officer, which he did not intend. We would like to request for signature on bond. He graduated from University of Mississippi on 2008. He has a bachelor's degree. He has a business administration as a major. And also, Your Honor, he's gainfully employed at FedEx ground as a truck driver. So after this bond hearing, he's not qualified for public defender service. And yet we would like to do our best to defend him for this particular case. For the bond hearings purpose, we would like to request for a signature on bond. Thanks.
Defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond, $1,000 for the disorderly, $500 for the obstruction. Stay away from the subject location and have no actual alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Judge, what kind of bond was this?
Surety.
Thank you.
Would the court be inclined to add no further disruptive or hindering contact with the officers involved?
I think we're gonna leave it as is, but yes, I think that's implied. No, no, we're not gonna add that at this time, Ms. Duncan, but I do appreciate the state's position.
Understood.
All right, best of luck to you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right, who we have next?
Position 9, Smith.
All right, good afternoon, Miss, you said 19?
No, 9, Smith.
Is this Brandon Smith?
Yes, it is.
That's 19.
Oh, that's 19.
Oh, I apologize, Judge.
Okay, I'm sorry. my brain is not firing the way it normally does.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Smith, your case is 23 CR 0000115Y. You're charged with disorderly conduct and obstruction with the offense date of October the 25th of 2022. Do you understand your rights,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Howard?
First arrest.
Okay. All right. Whose case is this for the state? Is it yours, Ms. Duncan? Oh, it's Ms. Lewis. Ms. Lewis, please proceed.
All right, this offense happened on October 25th, 2022 at 801 Glenwood Avenue, which is Maynard Jackson High School. The defendant arrived at the location with his mother, Chelsea Smith, and then began fighting adults within the school. Officer K. Merchant observed the fight, told the defendant to please stop, but the defendant ignored those commands. Officer Merchant was able to break up the fight, but then the defendant ran from him and began striking other adults at this location. There is currently a bond set. There's a 1,000 surety bond on the disorderly conduct, as well as a 1,000 surety on the willful obstruction. The state recommends that we keep the bond the same, as well as propose 1-day anger management or anger awareness, for the defendant.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Smith is actually 18 years old as of now. And back then, when this incident happened, he was 17 years old and he was a junior in high school, I believe. And he transferred from Maynard Jackson High School to another school right now. He's going to another high school as a senior and expecting to graduate this coming May 2023. I was able to talk to his father, Michael Gates, and he is willing to co-sign for his bond so that way he can get out of the jail today and go back to school. He gets A's to C, and his favorite subject is algebra and geometry. And he also played for basketball. He dreams to go to college to do real estate investment business. And also, I guess that's about it, Your Honor. We would like to request for signature on bond, and hopefully that his father can co-sign and he can get out of the jail today. Thanks.
All right, what is the name of the co-signer again?
Miguel Gates, Miguel. Last name is Gates. It's his biological father.
Okay.
I can text address and phone number to Mr. Pretrial.
Okay.
I don't need it. Just put on the
Okay.
bond order.
Thank you.
Defendant will receive a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services per judge. He is to attend the 1-day anger awareness course, be actively enrolled in a high school program. He is to have, we're not requesting a stay away. Was the state requesting that he stay away from that school? Does he still go to that school?
No, not anymore, Your Honor. He's transferred.
Okay, so he's to stay away from that school on Glenwood Avenue and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapon. Is there anything further?
Nothing
What is
further.
the father's name again? Miguel
Gates?
Gates.
Gates.
All right. I believe that will conclude the case. Best of luck
And-
to you, sir.
And Judge, will you break down that bond again?
I'm sorry, 1,000 each charge as recommended.
you. Thank you.
Position 15, Norris.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Norris. Your case is 23 CR 0000127E. You're charged with erratic lane change, failure to obey signs, following too closely, DUI less safe, and DUI with a concentration of 0.08 or more, with the offense date of the 8th of January. Do you understand your rights?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Yes, I do.
All right, Mr. Howard.
First.
All right, Ms. Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor. In this incident that occurred on January 8th, 2023, the defendant was driving a motor vehicle while suspected of being under the influence. he was having control of the vehicle, which was a Honda, and he failed to maintain lanes several times during his drive on the Georgia State Route 140 near the area of Martin Landing Drive. He was following a vehicle too closely. According to the officer's observation, he was not at least one car length behind other vehicles. So the officers did initiate a traffic stop. When they made contact with the vehicle that the defendant was driving, they noted that the defendant's eyes were red and watery. His speech was at times slowed and slurred, and they did detect an odor of alcoholic beverage on or about the breath of this particular defendant. At that time, the defendant also admitted to consuming alcohol prior to driving. Officers did indicate that standardized field sobriety evaluations were conducted, and they did indicate impairment. That is the basis for those charges. He did in fact proceed through an intersection at Georgia State Route 140 and Martin's Landing Drive while disregarding the red traffic light. For those reasons, Your Honor, given this defendant's limited history, the state is going to be requesting a $1,500 total signature bond on the traffic offenses. So that's $500 for the improper or erratic lane change, $500 for the failure to obey traffic control device, and $500 on the following too closely. And the state is going to be recommending a $3,000 total surety per DUI. And so that'll be a $7,500 total split bond with no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no driving unless validly licensed by DDS, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Norris is 32 years old, and he has been here in Georgia for about 6 years. He moved from North Carolina. He went to Greenville Tech College for criminal justice. He has an associate degree from there, and also he's gainfully employed at Master Grand Cabinets. His job title is auto specialist. He's been working there for about last 4 years. He has no risk of running away or not showing up at the court. We would like to request for signature on bond for charge number 1, 2, 3, 4. And hopefully he can get a signature on bond for number 5 as well. If Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond for DUI, we would like to request for a $1,000 skip bond for those 2 DUI charges. So $2,000 skip bond and the remaining as signature on bond.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. At this time, defendant is going to receive a $5,000. I'm sorry. 2, 4. I'm sorry. Let me do this math. A $7,000 split bond. It'll be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail for count 1, a $1,000 signature bond through the jail count 2, a $1,000 signature bond through the jail count 3, $2,000 on each remaining DUI. So he should have a total of $4,000 surety and $3,000 signature. He's not to drive without a valid license issued by the Georgia DDS, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing further from the state. Thank you, Judge.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you.
Sir. What do we have next?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 13. Lupo.
Okay. All right, good afternoon, Ms. Lupo. Your case is 23 CR 0000128F. In this case, you're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of August the 3rd of 2022. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
What we got here? I'm gonna go out of order a little bit. 2019 weapons offense, unlawful transport of firearms. That was an arrest by ATF. He's on federal probation for that. He has a hold. 2017 possession of a firearm by convicted felon conviction. That was out of Superior Court. 2017 reckless conduct, crossing state county guard lines with drugs, weapons. He got a probation violation from 2017. Off of case number 10SC 89587. I'll check that one to you. He was also arrested on a capital offense that was dismissed. And he went to felony earlier for ag assault, kidnapping, criminal damage to property, second degree, battery DV. He got no bond.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred on August 3rd, 2022 at apartments located at 835 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. The victim, Crystal Baines, met with the defendant. They both share a child. Baines stated that an argument began over contents on her phone. Baines stated that the defendant began attacking her, leaving bruises on her face. Baines stated there was a gun present, but the defendant did not threaten her with it. Baines also stated that this is not the first time the defendant has hit her, and she's in the process of filing a temporary protective order. Defendant is currently on probation, and as stated, they both share a child. The defendant has several arrests in Georgia, including this case, and the state will be recommending a $5,000 surety bond, no future contact with the victim, third-party contact with the child, one-day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay, I'm gonna sound for Ms. Baines at this time. Okay, hearing and seeing none, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Lupo is 29 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. He has all his family members here in Georgia. And as long as he has third-party transfer to have a child visitation, he is okay with stay away and no further contact with Miss Crystal. So my client has no objection to that. We would like to request for signature on bond since my client has he's indigent at this point financially. He has not had any job for the last 5 months. Prior to unemployment, he worked for a two-man truck as a mover. However, the income was not that high, and that was only for 2 months. And prior to that, he was not able to keep his job. So due to the financial challenges, even $500 will be no bond for him. And so we would like to request, he already has a no bond, Your Honor, so he cannot go anywhere. And this happened on August 3, 2022, which was more than 5 months ago. We would like to request for a signature on bond for this particular one, so that way he can take care of other big issues. Thanks.
All right, defendant will receive a $3,000 surety bond. He needs to have no contact with the alleged victim in this case. Stay away from the incident location. He can arrange to see his child through third party. He needs to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
No.
No, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Lupo. Who do we have next?
Position 11, King.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. King. Your case is 23 CR 0000124J. In this case, you're charged with discharge of firearms or on the property of another with the offense date of January the 8th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
It's 10th arrest. Last was 2018 ag battery, cruelty in the third. Criminal damage to property, second degree. That criminal damage was amended to a misdemeanor. He got 12 months probation. The ag battery was non-pros. The cruelty in the third was not presented to a grand jury. 2015 FTA for battery. Given false name conviction, 2013, 2015. Before that was 2009 simple battery, cruelty in the third battery, disorderly conduct. Those were dismissed.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Duncan, please proceed.
Okay, Your Honor, that battery family violence from 2015, I did see that was open. That's 14. The FTA, well, the battery that underlies that's 14 CR 001871. I believe that is open. The defendant is out on a $5,000 signature bond through the jail for that offense. In terms of the bond for that case, this defendant was given a special condition to not have any weapons specifically. So given this offense, the defendant is currently violating that signature bond through the jail. With this incident, Your Honor, the defendant was seen on the surveillance camera footage carrying an RF-15 rifle and aiming it at the escalators at the MARTA location located at 41 10th Street Northwest in Atlanta. Not only did this defendant aim that semi-automatic rifle at the escalators, he aimed that rifle at the ground and actually fired rounds from that weapon. It can be seen on the MARTA surveillance footage, Your Honor. Given the nature of this offense and this defendant's criminal history, we're going to be requesting a $20,000 surety bond, Your Honor. The state has some extreme concerns about this defendant being a danger to the community. Our city, Atlanta, is currently undergoing a gun epidemic. And this occurred at about 12:18 in the morning. And given the type of gun that was used in this offense, we're concerned, Your Honor. This is a semi-automatic rifle. It isn't a necessary handgun. It's a law enforcement grade weapon. So we don't know why this defendant had that weapon at that time, and we're not opposed to anybody's constitutional rights. However, we do have an issue with irresponsible and reckless gun ownership. And that is our reason for that high bond request, because as we've seen over the years of gun violence and fatalities due to irresponsible gun ownership have increased in our community. This was, like I said, a semi-automatic weapon, and that was fired in a public place. I don't know the range of this type of weapon, but given that knowledge, it could be very dangerous for those if anyone was around. We are continuing to investigate at this time, but Your Honor, the state has no tolerance for irresponsible and reckless gun ownership of this nature, and especially firing such a weapon in an open location such as a MARTA station. For those reasons, we're requesting that $20,000 surety bond, because we have that concern about the dangers for our community and the particular interest in the safety of our citizens in our community in general. We'd ask that he stay away from the MARTA station as listed previously on the record, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and specifically, again, no firearms, and no further violations of Georgia law. Nothing further from the state.
All right, thank you, Ms. Camp.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Reginald King is 39 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He is the proud father of 5 children. His children are ages 18, 21, 15, 14, and 8. And he also informs me that he is expecting a new baby. My client is the primary caregiver of 2 of his children, ages 15 and 18. He states that his wife passed away in August 2021. Mr. King is a high school graduate. He completed some college. He studied business administration. He is currently employed at Cobb Galleria. He has been in that position for about 2 months. My client strongly denies the allegations, Your Honor. He basically informed me that this was an accidental misfiring, and there are no allegations before you that my client is not in lawful possession of that weapon. So we would disagree with some of the state's contentions about gun ownership, Your Honor. As far as my client's background, we know that in open cases, he's presumed innocent. And if the court revokes his bond, of course, he would be on the hook for that. So we would ask Your Honor to take that into consideration in setting a bond amount. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. King's behalf. However, if Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, I would ask for a bond of no more than $1,000. And lastly, Your Honor, regarding my client's background, I do not see any arrest or contact with law enforcement since 2018. And finally, we are unopposed to any stay away conditions at the incident location, Your Honor. Thank you.
And if I may clarify briefly for the record, Your Honor, the state is not objecting to this defendant's ownership of a firearm. We're objecting to the reckless and careless nature of the irresponsible charges as alleged in the video.
Okay. Defendant's going to receive a $10,000 surety bond. He is to stay away from the incident location, have absolutely no weapons. surrender them as a condition of this bond and have no alcohol and drugs, except those issued by prescription. Was there any other special conditions as requested by the state?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, best of luck to you, sir. What do we have next?
Position 4, Fields.
Okay, good afternoon. Let's see. All right, Mr. Fields, your case is 23 CR 0000121Y. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of November the 25th. Do you understand your right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Howard,
Ninth arrest, last arrest was 2020 DUI. It was amended to reckless driving conviction. He's on probation for that. He got probation in his history, drug possession, carrying concealed weapon. I didn't see any violence.
okay, thank you. Ms. Todd?
Thank you, Your Honor. On November 25th, officers were called to 1026 Stonewall Drive in reference to a dispute call. Upon arrival, officers spoke with Miss Elizabeth Glass, both common spelling, who stated the defendant, who is her boyfriend, woke her up out of her sleep and began accosting her regarding something he found on her cell phone. During the argument, the defendant turned things physical when he threw Miss Glass across the room and began kicking her once she hit the ground, leaving marks on her head, neck, face, and arms. Miss Glass also stated that the defendant choked her to the point where she could not breathe. It's for this reason that our office is potentially looking into transferring this case to the district attorney's office. As pretrial stated, he does have not 8 previous arrests. The defendant, to our knowledge, is currently on probation and was on probation at the time of the offense. Ms. Glass is in a relationship with the defendant, so therefore we are concerned with his level of influence on her for potential witness intimidation. I do believe Ms. Glass is on the Zoom call if Your Honor would call her when it's appropriate. The state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Glass, a stay away from 1026 Stonewall Drive, 1 day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
All right, I'm sounding for Ms. Glass at this time. If Ms. Glass is present and wishes to be heard. All right, Ms. Glass, if you wish to make a statement, I need you to raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. What the court is most concerned with is whether you wish to have contact with the defendant. What would you like to tell me at this time?
I would like to continue contact. We're both at that residence, and yeah.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Marquez Fields is 37 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He tells me that he is the proud father of a 13-year-old daughter. And to my knowledge, Your Honor, he does not share that child with Ms. Glass, the complaining witness. Mr. Fields completed high school. He also has college credits. He studied web design and interactive media. He is at this time unemployed, Your Honor, and has been so for about 2 months. Therefore, he does have very limited ability to pay bond. He strongly denies the allegations. He's presumed innocent. We do not have any prior convictions whatsoever for violence. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Fields' behalf. I am opposed to the no contact and the stay away orders. My client wants to continue having contact with the complaining witness, and we heard from her as well. This incident is alleged to have occurred back in November 25th, 2022. So if the court is concerned about any cooling off period, we believe that that has occurred despite my client's presumption of innocence, Your Honor. So in closing, I am requesting a signature bond for Mr. Fields. And again, we are opposed to the no contact and the stay away orders. And Your Honor, that is the 1026 Stonewall Drive is Mr. Fields' residence, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, defendant's gonna receive a $3,000 signature bond per judge through pretrial services. He is to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim, last name Glass, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. He's also to take the 1 day anger awareness course. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the defense. Thank you, Your Honor.
What was that contact?
No further violent.
Okay.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 2, Echols.
All right. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Echols. Your case is 23 CR 000-116B. You're charged with simple battery, family violence, and battery with the offense date of January the 7th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
This is eighth arrest. Last arrest was back in March. Simple battery DV, criminal damage to property second degree, misdemeanor possession of marijuana. That is open in Superior Court. 22 SC 184995. June 2021, simple battery family violence. That appears to be open. 2019 probation for simple battery. 2019 cruelty in the third reckless conduct arrest. 2018 2 counts of battery conviction. 2015 simple battery family violence conviction. 2013 disorderly conduct conviction. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. What started as a verbal altercation between the defendant and his mother, Miss Devonti Moore, that's DHANVANTI, Moore, common spelling, escalated when the defendant began pushing Miss Moore. Miss Cheney Johnson, that's CHANIE, Johnson, common spelling, was present at the time and attempted to intervene between the defendant and he ended up pushing her, leaving bruises on her arm. Ms. Johnson attempted to intervene a second time, at which point the defendant placed his hands around her neck and pushed her into a wall, causing her to hit her head on the wall and left bruises on her collarbone. Our office was able to speak with Ms. Moore, and Ms. Moore did state that this is the first, stated that the defendant has been aggressive with her in the past, but this is the first time that he's gotten violent with her. Ms. Moore stated that she does not want the defendant to return to her residence, and she is even willing to take his belongings to a third party's home so that he does not return at all. We are concerned with the risk of reoffense in this case, Your Honor. As pretrial stated, he does have a 2011 battery family violence conviction, a 2015 simple battery family violence conviction, as well as a 2018 battery conviction. And he does have 2 open simple battery family violence cases, one of them being 19 CR 004304D, and the other one was previously read into the record by pretrial. We are asking for a $2,000 surety bond on each count for a total of a $4,000 surety bond, a no further contact with Ms. Johnson or Ms. Moore, a stay away from 3530 Piedmont Road, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Okay, I'm gonna sound for Ms. Moore. If she'd like to make a statement at this time, Ms. Moore, I see you on the screen. Do you wish to make a statement? You are not required to do so.
No, I don't wish to make a statement.
All right, understood. Thank you for coming to court today. Ms. Gamp?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kingsley Echols is 32 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He is the proud father of 2 sons, ages 6 and 4. He completed high school. He also has an associate's degree in medical assisting. At this time, he is currently employed part-time at a local restaurant. He states that he is a utility worker there. He strongly denies the allegations, Your Honor. And while I do acknowledge my client's history, I would just bring to the court's attention that he certainly is presumed innocent in this and any open cases. And as far as his convictions, I would ask that Your Honor consider that in this matter, there is no allegation that he violated any bond condition regarding contact with the alleged witnesses. He maintains that he was defending himself. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Echols' behalf. If Your Honor determines that he's ineligible, then I would ask for a more reasonable bond, a bond of no more than $1,500, and that would be $500 for simple battery family violence, $1,000 for the battery. He does not want to have any contact with neither Ms. Johnson nor Ms. Moore, the complaining witnesses, that is Cheney Johnson and Donvonte Moore. We would ask for a one-time law enforcement escort so that my client can retrieve his belongings, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back one moment to Ms. Ross. I'm sorry, Ms. Todd. Ms. Todd, can you please give me the breakdown again as requested by the state? I think I wrote it down incorrectly.
Yes, Your Honor, we were asking for $2,000 on each count for a total of $4,000.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will be accepting the state's recommendation. It'll be a $4,000 surety bond He's to have no contact whatsoever with the complaining witnesses and stay away from the incident location. He can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items. Moreover, he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the defense. Thank you, Your Honor.
Nothing from the state.
Okay, best of luck to you, sir. What do we have next?
Judge, did you say 4,000?
4,000 total, 2,000 each count.
Thank you. I do have a quick announcement, Judge. For position 6, they bonded out.
All right. And
And also,
the medical reset.
yeah, position 16 is the medical reset, and position 12 waived their appearance.
Okay.
And we're completed here in courtroom 2, Judge.
All right, courtroom 2 is free to go. Let's do the breakout case in courtroom 3.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if I may, I do apologize for interrupting. Robinson, that is Ms. Kim's case, and she's asking for a breakout.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Miss Robinson is a medical reset, correct?
No, Your
Yes,
Honor.
and yet I think we can go move forward without actually waiting for next day.
Okay, so did position 16 waive their appearance?
No. Not
I
the
have
Your
position
Honor.
16 as a medical reset. That's Robinson.
Right,
Yeah.
I had so 16 is not a medical reset, is what you're saying, Ms. Kim? You're saying it's
No,
not a
no, no. I mean, it is a medical reset, but we would like to request for reset to be done for a competence calendar, Your Honor.
Okay, but they still have to have either a first appearance. You can't go straight to the competency calendar, is my understanding. She still has to have a first appearance.
I believe she has a $1,000 currently, the bond.
Right,
So-
even if it's a
Okay.
preset bond, I still believe she has that. Miss Champion, Miss Bridgewater, will you double check? But I believe that is the rule. They still have to come for a first appearance.
Right, she has to
Okay.
have a bond hearing.
Okay.
She still has to have one. But
Your Honor, I do apologize for interrupting. She has been reset since.
right, I remember she was reset last week. I remember the name and the
We
case.
do not believe that she will be able to come to first appearance, Your Honor. That is why we are asking for the breakout at the direction of our supervisor, Mr. Derek Howard, to move
Okay,
this
we
case
can,
along.
we can talk about it, but the problem is she can't go straight to the competency she has to have a first appearance by law. So either
Are you
somebody-
gonna waive it? Her
That's what I
appearance?
that was my next suggestion. You could go to the jail and get her to waive her appearance, and then she could be placed on the competency calendar from there. But we can't just say that she's not gonna have a first appearance and go straight to competence.
Is Ms. Kim permitted to submit that waiver? I believe that was an oversight, Your Honor.
Well, did you actually?
It was her intent to waive her appearance so that we can move forward.
If she has in fact indicated that she wishes to waive her appearance and wants the public defender's office to proceed on her behalf, and Ms. Kemp enters that entry, we can go forward. But if no one has spoken to her and she has not made such indication, we cannot do so. But let's do the position in courtroom 3 first so that the jail can move on. Let's go into a breakout. I guess it will be me and Ms. Duncan, Ms. Todd. Who's supervising today? Is there a supervisor that needs to go?
We
into
will
that?
also need to have, I'm sorry if I cut you off, Your Honor, Deputy Echo as well as ASG Lewis and
Call in courtroom.
ASG Rogers.
Okay, so we'll go into that breakout now for courtroom 3.
May I please be invited to the breakout room as well?
Yes, I don't think we have any objection to you coming, Ms.
State Court. I think you forgot Donovan and Lewis for the breakout room. They were supposed to be in there, not me.
Okay, I just put them in.
All right, Mr. Howard, very briefly, will you put the history for position 3, Andrea Ellsbury, onto the record?
You waiting on me?
Yes, please put just position 3's history onto the record.
First arrest.
All right, thank you. At this time, defendant's gonna receive a $5,000 signature bond per judge through pretrial services. She's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim, comply with all recommended treatment, and she is undergo a PHET. She's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Is Your Honor requiring a cosigner?
How old is she?
17 in high school, but employed.
She's gonna need the cosigner. I will waive utility bill. If, what is the name of her cosigner again, Ms. Gant?
Robert Ellsbury, last name Ellsberry.
Is, Miss Cindy Ellsbury, that's the mother on the line?
Yes.
Okay, so if you would just let your husband know to please, he'll be the one signing her bond, and I'll waive the requirement. Is there anything else he has to bring to get her? I'll waive the utility bill. Okay. I believe that's the, conclusion of that case.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm her dad and I'm here if you need to speak with me.
No, we just, what, you're gonna co-sign her bond. When you come down, you just need to have valid ID. Normally, you would have to have utility bill. I've waived that requirement. All right?
All right. Okay. Thank you.
All
You
right.
said Robert Ellsbury?
Yes.
All right.
All right, we're now gonna go to position 12. 12 was a waived appearance.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, take care. All right, the case of Nicholas Kipsang, 23 CR 0000123B. He is charged with criminal trespass. His appearance has been waived by counsel.
Yes.
Mr. Howard, can I have the history?
This is third arrest. November 2022, trespass out of Marietta.
Hello?
Please, mute Mr. Ellsbury. November 2022. Ms. Champion, can you mute him? He doesn't know he's still speaking. All right, go ahead, Mr. Howard, I'm sorry.
He was arrested on November 4th in Marietta for trespass. November 8th, Marietta trespass. And this is his third arrest.
All right, thank
Hold
you.
on. He got a 2021 out of Indiana. Failed to remain at the scene of an accident. That was non-process.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident did occur at the H.E. Holmes MARTA station located at 70 H.E. Holmes Drive Northwest in Atlanta. This defendant was remaining on the property after being told to leave by MARTA staff and security. That's the basis for the criminal trespass in this case. We do have concern about the risk of reoffense. As pretrial has stated, all three of this defendant's criminal cycles are criminal trespass cycles. In addition to this defendant being a multi-state offender. For those reasons, Your Honor, we think $1,000 surety is more than reasonable in this case. And we'd ask this defendant stay away from the H.E. Holmes MARTA station, have no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kipsang is 25 years old, and he has been here in Georgia for about 4 years. Your Honor, he has 2 years of college education. He studied computer science. He was born and raised in Kenya and moved to Georgia. We would like to request for a signature on bond since at this point, he has been unemployed for about a year. So he has no financial resources to make any bond. And that's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, defendant's gonna receive a $500 surety bond. He is to stay away from the H.E. Holmes MARTA station and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Anything further?
Nope, nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, I believe that's the entire calendar. Ms. Bridgewater, will you please review it for me?
Okay, sure. Once again, the reset date is January the 24th for the SAP calendar. Position number 1 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 total good bond. Position 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a $4,000 total good bond. Position 3 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 4, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 5 is going to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 total split bond. Position 6, wait a minute, what did we do with that one? Was that the one that was released?
Yes.
Okay, this is reset further notice as it was really as she was released. Position 7 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 total good bond. Position 8 is going to the SAP calendar with a $6,000 total good bond. No, I did something 7. Okay, that's 8 going there. Okay, position number 9 is going to the SAP calendar with a $7,000 total split bond. Position 10 reset to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 11 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $10,000 good bond. Position 12 reset to the SAP calendar with a $500 good bond. Position 13 is going to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. Position 14, SAP calendar with a total $1,500 good bond. Position 15, going to the SAP calendar with a total $7,000 split bond. Position 16 is reset for tomorrow's calendar, pending we get a waiver or whatever, but it's reset for tomorrow. Position 17 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,500 good bond. Position 18, SAP calendar with a $1,500 total good bond. Position 19 is being reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 20 and 21 are both going to the SAP calendar with a $1,500 each good bond. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
What was number 9 again?
Number 9 is reset to the SAP calendar with a total $7,000 split bond.
And were the signatures through the jail or pretrial?
For which one?
For counts 1 and 2.
Through the jail.
What's the, give me the jail amount. Break it down for me, please.
Okay, positions, when I say position, charges 1 and 2 both have a $3,000 SOB through the jail.
Okay. I have just two more questions. For position 5, is the SOB through the jail?
Okay, I'll let you know. Give me just a second.
Yes, it
Position
is.
5 is through the jail.
Thank you. I was trying to write fast. I think I
Yeah.
got one more. I was trying to write
No
fast.
problem, no problem. What's the next one?
The next one is come back paper. We did that one. No, we didn't. Position 15 are the signatures through the jail as well.
Position 15 are through the jail.
Okay, let me make sure that's it. Okay, that's it for me. No other questions.
Yes, I'm about to send you this waiver.
I'm gonna try to print it out here before I leave. So if everyone send paperwork as quickly as you can, thank you, Ms. Bridgewater, in advance.
Okay, so I'm gonna get ready to send it just as soon. Are there any other questions before? Okay.
Hearing none, we'll be in recess until tomorrow's.
One quick thing, Judge. Besides me, Miss Duncan, I can't tell what color's under your robe. Miss Gant, where's the red? There you go, Miss Gant. There you go. Okay. There you go. Okay.
Red and black
Okay.
and white.
Very good. All right, you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.
Funny. Bye-bye.